In 2019, last WhatsApp message, the case no one can forget, as told by investigative journalist Sarah Mitchell. The morning mist clung to the peaks of the Rocky Mountains like a shroud, casting an ethereal veil over the trails that wind through Colorado's most beloved wilderness. It was here, in the shadow of Denver's majestic backdrop, that a mystery would unfold that would captivate the nation and leave investigators scratching their heads for months to come. My name is Sarah Mitchell, and I've been covering missing persons cases for over 15 years. I've seen families torn apart by uncertainty, communities rallied together in hope, and mysteries that seem to defy all logic. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for the case of David Chen and the WhatsApp message that would change everything we thought we knew about his disappearance. The man who loved mountains, David Chen, wasn't your typical thrill-seeker. At 34, he was a software engineer for a prominent tech company in downtown Denver, known among his colleagues for his methodical approach to everything, from debugging code to planning his weekend hiking adventures. Friends described him as the type of person who always had a backup plan for his backup plan. David was incredibly careful. His longtime friend Michael Rodriguez told me during our interview at a coffee shop overlooking the Denver skyline. He'd researched trails for weeks before attempting them. He knew every emergency protocol, carried more safety gear than most search and rescue teams, and always stuck to his planned route and timeline. This attention to detail made what happened on October 12, 2019 all the more baffling. David had planned a solo hike on the Bear Lake Trail in Rocky Mountain National Park, about an hour-and-a-half drive from his apartment in Denver's Capitol Hill neighborhood. It was a moderate trail he'd completed dozens of times before, a comfortable 5-6-mile round trip that typically took him about 4 hours, including his customary photography stops. His girlfriend of 2 years, Emma Sullivan, remembered their last conversation vividly. "He kissed me goodbye at 6 a.m. sharp, just like always," she recalled, her voice still tinged with emotion even 2 years later when we spoke. "He said he'd be back by 2 p.m. at the latest, and we had dinner reservations at 7. David never missed dinner reservations. The perfect Saturday that went wrong. October 12th dawned crisp and clear across Colorado, with temperatures hovering around a perfect 65 degrees Fahrenheit. The autumn colors were at their peak, golden aspens dancing in the gentle breeze, creating what locals call nature's symphony. It was exactly the kind of day David lived for. According to park records, David's car, a silver Honda CR-V, was logged entering Rocky Mountain National Park at 7:23 a.m. The parking attendant, Martha Henderson, remembered him clearly because of his unusual enthusiasm that morning. "Most hikers are pretty focused, you know, checking their gear, looking at trail maps," Martha explained during our phone conversation. But David seemed almost excited. He was humming something, tapping his fingers on the steering wheel. He even thanked me 3 times for the trail conditions update. David's meticulously planned day began perfectly. His fitness tracker, later recovered, showed he started the Bear Lake Trail at exactly 7:45 a.m., maintaining his typical steady pace of 2.8 miles per hour. The data revealed he reached the lake at 9:15 a.m., right on schedule. This is where the digital breadcrumbs begin to tell a strange story. The digital trail goes cold. David's phone records, obtained through a warrant after his disappearance, painted the picture of a man following his routine to the letter. At 9:18 a.m., he posted a photo to his Instagram story, a breathtaking shot of Bear Lake with the reflection of Hallett Peak perfectly mirrored in the still water. The caption read, "Another perfect Colorado morning. Grateful. Where Rocky Mountain High, where our nature heals." His location services showed he spent approximately 30 minutes at the lake, likely taking more photographs and enjoying his usual granola bar snack. At 9:47 a.m., he began his return journey. Here's where things get interesting. David's fitness tracker continued recording data, showing him maintaining his normal pace back down the trail. But then, at 11:23 a.m., just 1.2 miles from the parking area, all digital activity abruptly stopped. His fitness tracker went offline. His phone stopped pinging cell towers. It was as if David Chen simply vanished into thin air. Emma began worrying when David didn't respond to her 2:30 p.m. text asking if he was on his way home. By 4 p.m., when he still hadn't returned, she drove to Rocky Mountain National Park herself. "I found his car exactly where he always parked it," Emma told me, her voice breaking slightly. "Keys under the mat, just like he always did when he went hiking alone." But David wasn't there. The search begins. Park rangers initiated a search at 5:47 p.m. after Emma reported David missing. What followed was one of the most extensive search operations in Rocky Mountain National Park's recent history. Search and Rescue Coordinator James Patterson led the effort, mobilizing over 60 volunteers, 3 helicopter crews, and specialized K-9 units. "We threw everything we had at this search," Patterson explained during our interview at the park's headquarters. David's case had all the hallmarks of a straightforward recovery. Experienced hiker, well-known trail, good weather conditions. We expected to find him within the first 24 hours. The search teams methodically covered every inch of the Bear Lake Trail and surrounding wilderness. They found no trace of David, no clothing, no gear, no disturbance in the vegetation that would indicate someone had left the established trail. "It was like he just evaporated," said volunteer searcher Linda Kim, who participated in the ground search efforts. "We covered areas where even experienced hikers wouldn't think to go. Nothing, not a single clue. The helicopters with thermal imaging equipment scanned the terrain for 3 straight days. The K-9 units, including specialized trailing dogs, lost David's scent completely at a specific point on the trail, the exact location where his fitness tracker had gone offline." A community rally's news of David's disappearance spread quickly through Denver's tight-knit hiking community and beyond. Social media campaigns emerged overnight, with the Find David Chen trending locally on Twitter. His photograph, a warm smile beneath a Denver Broncos cap, appeared on missing person flyers throughout the Front Range. David's co-workers at TechFlow Solutions organized volunteer search parties every weekend for 6 consecutive weeks. His hiking club, the Mile High Adventurers, postponed all planned activities to focus on the search effort. "David was the kind of person who remembered your birthday, who checked in when you were going through a tough time," said his supervisor, Patricia Wong. "Our entire office felt his absence immediately. We couldn't just sit and wait." Local businesses donated supplies, food, and equipment to search teams. The Denver Post ran daily updates on the search efforts. Even Colorado Governor Jared Polis issued a statement encouraging anyone with information to come forward. But despite the massive community effort and professional search operations, David Chen remained missing. The discovery that changed everything. On October 27th, 15 days after David's disappearance, a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Jessica Martinez, a graduate student in environmental science at the University of Colorado Boulder, was conducting research on water quality in Rocky Mountain National Park streams. While collecting samples from a creek approximately 2 miles off the Bear Lake Trail, she spotted something unusual wedged between 2 rocks in the shallow water. "At first I thought it was just trash that someone had dropped," Jessica recalled during our video call from her Boulder apartment. "But when I got closer, I realized it was a phone in a waterproof case. The phone was David's iPhone 11, still functional thanks to its protective case and the creek's consistently cold temperature." Jessica immediately contacted park rangers, who rushed the device to digital forensics specialists in Denver. What they discovered on that phone would transform the entire investigation and reveal a truth that no one saw coming. The message that shattered everything. Detective Maria Santos of the Denver Police Department's Missing Persons Unit had seen her share of mysterious disappearances, but David Chen's case was already unique in its complete lack of physical evidence. When the phone was recovered, she hoped it would provide answers. "We expected to find maybe some photos from his hike, maybe a clue about what direction he headed," Detective Santos explained during our meeting at Denver Police Headquarters. "We never expected to find what we actually found." The phone's WhatsApp messages told a story that investigators, and David's family and friends, never could have imagined. David's last received WhatsApp message came at 11:22 a.m. on October 12th, just 1 minute before all his digital devices went offline. The message was from a contact saved simply as Mom. The message read, "David, I know this will be hard to understand, but I've been watching you for months. I'm your birth mother. I gave you up for adoption in 1985. I've found you and I need to see you. I'm waiting at the coordinates I'm sending. Please come alone. I have so much to explain. Susan." The message included GPS coordinates pointing to a location approximately 2.5 miles off the Bear Lake Trail, in a remote area of the park that experienced hikers rarely visit. But here's what made this discovery so shocking. David Chen had never been adopted. A family's world turned upside down. When investigators contacted David's parents, Robert and Lily Chen, with news of the message, the family was devastated on multiple levels. Not only were we dealing with our son's disappearance, Robert Chen told me during an emotional interview at their Denver home, but suddenly we're learning that someone had been stalking him, someone who knew intimate details about his life. The Chen family had complete documentation of David's birth and childhood. Hospital records, birth certificates, family photographs. There was no question that Robert and Lily were David's biological parents. David was born at Presbyterian St. Joseph Hospital right here in Denver, Lily Chen explained, showing me David's baby book filled with photos and mementos. I have every ultrasound picture, every doctor's visit recorded. The idea that he was adopted is completely impossible. The WhatsApp account that sent the message was traced to a prepaid phone purchased with cash at a Walmart in Colorado Springs, a transaction that provided no useful leads for investigators. The investigation deepens. Detective Santos and her team faced a puzzle unlike any they'd encountered before. Someone had gone to extraordinary lengths to lure David to a remote location, using a sophisticated deception. This wasn't a random crime, Detective Santos explained. Someone had studied David's habits, knew his hiking patterns, understood his personality well enough to craft a message that would make him deviate from his planned route. The investigation revealed disturbing details about the extent of the stalking. Phone records showed the mom WhatsApp account had been created 6 months before David's disappearance. During that time, it had never sent any messages. It existed solely to send that one crucial message on October 12th. Security camera footage from various locations along David's regular hiking routes showed a woman, approximately 45 to 55 years old, appearing multiple times over several months. She was always alone, always carrying hiking gear, and always positioned where she could observe hikers without being noticed. She clearly knew David's patterns, explained digital forensics expert Dr. Amanda Foster, who analyzed the phone data. The timing of that message was perfect, sent at the exact moment when David would be most vulnerable to the emotional appeal of finding his birth mother. Following the coordinates. 3 days after the phone was discovered, a specialized search team was dispatched to the GPS coordinates included in the WhatsApp message. The location was in an extremely remote section of the park, accessible only by experienced mountaineers. What they found there would add another layer of mystery to an already baffling case. At the specified coordinates, searchers discovered a small clearing that showed obvious signs of recent human activity. There were remains of a small campfire, carefully concealed food containers, and most significantly, a handwritten note placed under a rock in the center of the clearing. The note, written in neat, cursive handwriting, simply read, "David, I'm sorry. I couldn't go through with it. The truth is too complicated. Maybe someday you'll understand." The profile of a predator. Criminal psychologist Dr. Rachel Thompson, who consulted on the case, provided insights into the mind behind David's disappearance. This individual demonstrated sophisticated planning, emotional manipulation, and intimate knowledge of the victim's psychological vulnerabilities, Dr. Thompson explained during our phone interview. The adoption story was chosen specifically because it would trigger David's natural curiosity and compassion. The stalking pattern revealed someone with extensive wilderness experience and significant financial resources. The months of surveillance, the remote camping equipment, the untraceable phone, all pointed to someone with both means and expertise. This person knew that David, as an adopted narrative, would create an emotional urgency that could override his normally cautious nature, Dr. Thompson continued. It was a masterful manipulation, but the note at the coordinates suggested something had gone wrong with the original plan. Whatever the perpetrator intended, they apparently couldn't follow through. A community still searching. As of today, David Chen remains missing. The investigation continues, though leads have grown increasingly cold. The mysterious woman captured on surveillance cameras has never been identified, despite extensive efforts by law enforcement and the public. The David Chen case has become a cautionary tale within the hiking community about the unexpected dangers that can exist even on familiar trails. But it's also become a testament to the power of community support and unwavering hope. Emma Sullivan has become an advocate for missing persons' families, working with organizations across Colorado to improve search protocols and support systems. David would want his story to help others, she told me. He always believed that knowledge could prevent tragedy. The Mile High Adventurers Hiking Club has established the David Chen Safety Fund which provides GPS tracking devices and emergency communication equipment to solo hikers throughout Colorado. Theories and possibilities. In the absence of concrete answers, investigators and amateur sleuths have developed several theories about what might have happened to David Chen. The most prevalent theory suggests that David did follow the GPS coordinates to meet who he believed was his birth mother. When he arrived and discovered the deception, something went wrong. The apologetic note might indicate that the perpetrator panicked when confronted with the reality of their actions. Another theory proposes that David realized the manipulation before reaching the coordinates and attempted to return to the main trail, but encountered some other danger in the wilderness, though this doesn't explain why extensive searches found no trace of him. A third possibility, and perhaps the most disturbing, is that the entire elaborate scheme was cover for a more sinister plan that was ultimately abandoned when the perpetrator lost their nerve. The technology trail. Modern missing persons cases leave extensive digital footprints, and David's case is no exception. His social media activity, financial records, and digital communications have been analyzed exhaustively. The 6 months of digital silence from the fake mom account before David's disappearance suggests careful planning. Cybersecurity experts believe the perpetrator likely used sophisticated techniques to mask their digital identity. Creating a completely untraceable digital presence requires significant technical knowledge, explained cybersecurity consultant Mark Stevens. This wasn't someone making impulsive decisions. Every step was calculated. The fact that David's phone ended up in a creek miles from the coordinates raises additional questions. Did David throw it there himself when he realized the deception? Was it placed there by someone else? The phone's journey remains one of the many unanswered questions in this case. Impact on missing persons protocol. David's disappearance has influenced how search and rescue operations approach cases involving digital evidence. Rocky Mountain National Park has updated its protocols to include immediate digital forensics analysis when personal devices are recovered. The David Chen case taught us that sometimes the most important clues aren't on the trail itself, said Search and Rescue Coordinator Patterson. We now prioritize digital evidence recovery as highly as physical evidence. The case has also highlighted the vulnerability of even experienced hikers to sophisticated social engineering attacks. Outdoor safety courses now include modules on recognizing and responding to digital manipulation attempts. A family's unwavering hope. Despite the passage of time and the lack of new leads, David's family continues to believe he will be found. They've refused to hold a memorial service, maintaining hope that David is somewhere out there, possibly injured but alive. Until we have definitive answers, David is still just missing, his father Robert told me firmly. We won't give up hope until we know for certain what happened to our son. The Chen family has worked tirelessly to keep David's case in the public eye. They maintain an active social media presence, regularly share updates on the investigation, and coordinate with other missing persons' families to support each other through the uncertainty. The broader mystery. What makes David Chen's case so haunting isn't just the elaborate deception that led to his disappearance. It's the complete absence of resolution. In an age where digital footprints make it increasingly difficult to simply vanish, David's case represents a throwback to an earlier era of truly mysterious disappearances. The sophistication of the plan, combined with its ultimate abandonment, suggests a perpetrator who may have targeted others or may target again. This possibility keeps investigators active on the case, knowing that solving David's disappearance might prevent future tragedies. Lessons learned. For those of us who cover missing persons cases, David's story serves as a reminder that danger can come from the most unexpected sources. It wasn't a bear attack, a hiking accident, or even a random crime of opportunity that led to David's disappearance. It was a carefully orchestrated psychological manipulation that exploited his kindest instincts. The case has also demonstrated the incredible power of community response. The hundreds of volunteers who searched for David, the businesses that donated resources, and the strangers who shared his story across social media platforms all contributed to keeping hope alive and putting pressure on investigators to continue their efforts. An ongoing investigation today, Detective Santos continues to work David's case alongside dozens of other missing persons investigations. New tips still come in regularly, though most lead nowhere. The reward for information leading to David's whereabouts has grown to $75,000, contributed by family, friends, and concerned community members. I think about David Chen every single day, Detective Santos told me. His case represents everything challenging about modern missing persons investigations: sophisticated planning, digital manipulation, and a complete lack of physical evidence. But it also represents why we can never give up. The investigation remains officially active, and the Denver Police Department continues to follow up on any credible leads. They've worked with FBI behavioral analysts, consulted with experts in digital forensics, and even brought in psychics at the family's request, though no supernatural insights have provided useful leads. A message of hope and caution. As I conclude this investigation into one of Colorado's most baffling missing persons cases, I'm struck by the dualities it represents. It's a story of love and deception, of community and isolation, of hope and despair. For hikers and outdoor enthusiasts, David's case serves as a crucial reminder that safety isn't just about carrying the right gear or knowing the trails. It's also about being aware of the human dangers that can exist even in nature's most beautiful places. For families dealing with missing loved ones, David's story demonstrates both the importance of never giving up hope and the reality that some mysteries may take years or even decades to solve. And for all of us, David Chen's disappearance reminds us that in our interconnected, digitally tracked world, it's still possible for someone to simply vanish, leaving behind only questions and the echoes of a life interrupted. The last WhatsApp message that David Chen ever received promised answers and family reunion. Instead, it led to one of the most perplexing mysteries in Colorado's recent history. Until David is found, until that woman in the hiking photos is identified, until we know what really happened on that perfect October morning, his case will remain a haunting reminder that sometimes the truth is far stranger and more complex than we ever could imagine. If you have any information about David Chen's disappearance or recognize the description of the woman observed on various hiking trails, please contact the Denver Police Department's tip line immediately. Sometimes the smallest detail can break open a case that has stumped investigators for years. David's story isn't over yet. Somewhere out there are the answers that could bring him home and give his family the peace they've been seeking since that October morning, when a loving son set out for a routine hike and never returned. His case reminds us all that mystery still exists in our modern world, and that sometimes the most ordinary day can become the beginning of an extraordinary puzzle that challenges everything we think we know about the world around us. David Chen is still missing. His family is still waiting, and investigators are still working to solve the case that no one can forget.